Good afternoon, young people. A little video about the syllabus here. So, welcome to chemistry class. I am Mrs. April Rains. Who am I? Who is April Rains? Well, I was born in Michigan, but I lived in Missouri for 35 years of my entire life. So I really grew up there. I don't really remember growing up in Michigan, but I have family there. So it's always good to go back home. Graduated from the University of Missouri St. Louis in 1993 with 2 degrees, one in chemistry and one in education. Then I went back to school and got my master's degree at Indiana University Southeast in education. I have been teaching, this is my 23rd year teaching. I have 9 years experience in Missouri. I have 2 years experience in Michigan, and I have 12 years in Kentucky. I've had 7 as a Panther. This is my actually 8th year, beginning my 8th year as a Panther. My goal in life, my goal in teaching, my goal in everything is to be as good at something as I can be. So right now, my goal is to be a super teacher, to be the best teacher I can be, to make sure that you're learning the most that you can learn and doing the best that you can do. And that's my goal, that's my job, that's the end goal for me, no matter what I'm doing. So even when you're mad at me, you've got to think, oh, she's just trying to be the best teacher she can be. I need you to just try to be the best student you can be. So my most valuable players, the people that mean most to me, are my mom and my dad. They're wonderful. They got me through school without any debt, and I thank them greatly. They've always been my biggest cheerleaders, my biggest fans. My son and my grandson and his fiance, my niece, who is more like a daughter to me, and her little baby, who's not a little baby anymore. He's 1.5 and he's too darn cute. My ladybug, this is my baby Sydney. Sydney is 19 years old now. She was about 15 or 16 in this picture, and you know, she's a special needs baby. So she's about 6 to 8 months old, and I couldn't love her more, despite the fact that she's different and wonderful and special, and she just brings so much joy to my life. And my 21-year-old daughter, Devin, wonderful daughter that I have there. And then, of course, my husband. I couldn't do all of the stuff that I do without him. I couldn't spend the hours that I spend doing the things that I do without his support and his help. And this is my family, my wonderful family, our 2 daughters and my husband. So I'm just happy to know that when I go home, I've got someone who's got my back. I think you know what that means. So these are the people who love me the most and who have my back the most. So what things are you going to need for class? You're going to need a 3-ring binder. This is not going to be something that you're going to have to bring to class every single day, although some of you will choose to. But you have to have a 3-ring binder. You're also going to need loose leaf paper. I do not take ratty edges of paper. I will not grade them. If you turn them in, you will get them returned with no grade on them and saying that I do not grade ratty edge papers. So please make sure if you're using those spiral bound edges that you tear those ratty edges off or cut them off, because I will not accept those papers. And I'm telling you this now to warn you so that you know exactly what the expectation is. Sorry, my hair is getting in my face because it's falling down. Okay, you're also going to need a graph ruled composition notebook. I'm going to be giving these to you, not really giving them to you. I will be selling them for $2 and you will have one. I have plenty to sell. I have plenty to go around. So we have those available. So you don't have to go and buy one. Sometimes the graph ones can be expensive. So $2 is pretty good. You're going to need a scientific calculator. I didn't say a graphing calculator. I just said a scientific calculator. You can get one of these for about $8 to $9. A really good one for $15. It just has to be scientific. It does not have to be a graphing calculator. However, if you've purchased a graphing calculator, if you already have one, or if you rent one with the school, you can use that. The problem is at the end of the school year, when they start collecting those calculators, sometimes you don't have the calculator you need for finals and things. So you're responsible for having a calculator. You will have to have one at all times because you never know when you're going to need it. Bring it out, pull it out, do whatever you need to do, okay? So calculator. You're also going to need pens or pencils. I do not provide paper. I do not provide pens and pencils. Those are all things that you as a student and your parents need to provide for you. Make sure that you have more than one. So if something happens to one, you have a spare. Be sure you carry a few. Not necessarily to loan out, but maybe if you're friendly, you can loan one out to a friend who doesn't have one. But you need to make sure that you have all of those available to you at all times. $10 lab fee. This really doesn't apply to you because you've already paid your lab fee when you paid for registration, so you don't really have to worry about that too awfully much. And finally, a flash drive. I suggest a flash drive because it's small, it can go almost anywhere, and you can work on something at home and then bring it to school and work on it as well. You can also use things like Google Drive or OneDrive or cloud-based things. That's fine. The problem is when you have to turn stuff in, I'm giving you directions based upon files that I know how to work, and so those directions don't always work very well, and so you have to make sure you know how those things work if you're going to use those pieces of equipment. So these are the things you're going to need daily. I have a textbook that you'll be using in class. I will also upload anything that you might need to read or might need to get a hold of. So these are the things that you're going to need to make sure you have with you. Okay? We want to have a great year. We want to have fun, but we also want to learn. It's not just about having fun, it's also about learning. Learning is the #1 priority. Sometimes we're not going to have fun, sometimes we are. Sometimes we'll do both at the same time, but it's going to be up to you. And I believe that the #1 thing for this is respect. If we can respect each other, respect ourselves, and respect the classroom and learning process, I think that we have it made. So you need to remember that when we're talking about classroom management and rules, if it's not respectful, it's not going to happen. I do want to tell you though, Polar Pops, open cans of soda, closed bottles of soda are not allowed. No Kool-Aid, no any of that. You can have bottles of water in my classroom that close, but you cannot have anything else. Nothing sticky, nothing sweet, nothing like that, nothing else. And you can't take even bottles of water into the lab. So you need to make sure that you're aware of that. There's also a no food policy unless you're told beforehand that you can have food. You can chew gum, but don't leave the gum underneath the desks. That's just really rude. It's not okay. Okay, how will I communicate with your home? You're going to get a monthly calendar. You can get one of those today, but you will get one tomorrow. Okay, you're going to get progress reports every 3 weeks. And those progress reports are really important for you because if you get them signed, you get to turn any work in that you didn't turn in on time. That's homework, classwork kind of stuff. It doesn't include labs and it doesn't include tests and quizzes. So all of those things have a different time frame that you can read about in your syllabus there. Okay, phone calls home. I make good and bad ones, so you're going to see both of those. Open house and parent-teacher conference. Open house is September 28th. Parent-teacher conference is October 10th, and I'll be more than happy to meet with your parents on either one of those days. One of them I can't really talk about you because it's open house, and the other one I can talk all about you. So all those are good. How are grades assessed? It's pretty simple. Grades are assessed according to a 10-point system that's relatively new to JCPS but not new to the world. So the 10-point system and the grading scale look as follows. A's 90 to 100, B's 80 to 89, C's 70 to 79, D's 60 to 69, and U's are 59 and below. So everybody in here is capable of making a C or above. There is no reason that you shouldn't be making a C or above. And if you are not making a C or above, you're really not putting forth effort. So you need to make sure that you correct that. So how am I going to grade you? Well, there are three separate categories: engagement, progression, and mastery. The engagement category includes notes, reading guides, warm-ups, binder checks, those kinds of things, those ways that you're engaging first with the content, just first getting your feet wet with it, and that's worth 10% of your total semester grade. Okay, all items together, so I'm going to give them point values, I'm going to put them in, and all together they will be 10% of your semester grade. Now some of you don't understand weighted grading, but we're going to do an activity a little bit later in the semester that may be related to weighted grading, so we'll talk about it then. The next one is, the chemistry binder. I want to talk about your chemistry binder because it has to be organized in a way. The organization is to help you study. You're going to have semester exams and a final exam at the end of the year that's cumulative, meaning it covers everything. You have to have a way to study. So the binder helps you with that. When I do binder checks, I do them at unit test times or summative assessment times. And you have to take papers out of those binders, staple them to a binder checklist, and turn them in. And you have a very limited amount of time. You have 2 minutes from the time the bell rings until the due time. So when the bell rings, you have 2 minutes after that to get that in. So you have to have things organized to be able to do that well. So how do you need to organize your binder? You're going to need 6 tabs or dividers. You can make them. If you have old manila folders, cut them off, put them in, make them. I don't care if you have construction paper and you know how to cut little tabs on them, do it. Or you can go buy them, it doesn't matter. And you need these titles, and they have to be in this order: references, warm-ups, notes, classwork, labs, tests, and quizzes. Your notes are really your homework for this class, so it's really classwork, not really homework classwork, but it's all good. Okay, the next thing is progression. Progression includes classwork, laboratory activities, and formative assessments. Classwork is counted as 5% of your total grade. Lab activities are counted as 10% of your total grade, and formative assessments are counted as 10% of your total grade. So that means total of 25%. It's broken down like that. Yeah, classwork is important because I want you to engage, but sometimes we cheat, sometimes we do things that we're not supposed to, so I don't make it the biggest portion. Lab activities are showing more of a mastery kind of thing and could potentially be that. And then formative assessments, those are your Friday quizzes. Those are the things that we'll be taking every single Friday unless we have short weeks or we have a week that we've had a test in the middle of the week and we don't have enough information to test on Friday. But you will have a quiz every Friday, including this Friday on the syllabus. The last section is mastery. Mastery covers our lab reports and projects, summative assessments, and final exams. Lab reports and projects are worth 20% of your grade. They're really showing that you've kind of mastered what you're talking about, that you know what you're talking about, and they're finalized projects. Okay. Summative assessments are your unit test. Those tests that you would take after we completed a unit or a chapter, they're worth 35%. And then finally, the final exam is worth 10% of your overall grade. So that's how your grade breaks down. Makeup work. How do you get makeup work? Where is the makeup work? What's going on? Late work not turned in by the assigned due date is considered makeup work or late work. Okay, if you're absent, it becomes makeup work because you weren't there to turn it in, so there are procedures that you need to follow. Late work in this class will only be accepted with a signed 3-week progress report, and there are going to be 5 points deducted in penalty for each assignment that you didn't turn in on time. So each one, so if you don't turn in 3 assignments, you lose a total of 15 points. But you have to have a signed progress report in order to turn those in. If you're having trouble, you need to come see me before, not after. When you start seeing the issue, come and talk to me. Do not wait until it's been forever and ever and it's way too late to do that. By the way, tests are announced a week before, so you'll always know a week before. Quizzes are every Friday, so you already know. Every Friday, be prepared for a Friday quiz. Sorry, I had to take an aside there. I forgot something. Absentee procedures. Okay, so when you're turning in assignments, if an assignment was due the day you were absent, it's due when you return. It's not due the day after. It's not due 2 days after. It's due the day that you return. But any assignment that you were given on the day that you were absent, you have 1 day for every day you were absent plus 1. So if you were absent 1 day, you have 2. If you were absent 4 days, you have 5. So that's the policy. However, I would really refrain from getting too far behind, and I would be using Blackboard to get all my assignments so that I don't necessarily get behind. So that's the other thing. Make sure that you're going to Blackboard to get those assignments. They will all be posted. There is also a crate in the front of the room called the homework crate that you can get all of the handouts and all of the things that we did. There won't necessarily be a description. You won't necessarily get notes or the stuff that we got in class doing the activity, but it's there to get. Extra help. You can always get help. Don't interrupt my class to get help because you were absent and don't know. If I'm finished, if I have some free time, I'll come over and help you, but otherwise you may have to come in after school and get some extra help. And I am more than happy to stay after school and help you. So you just make sure that you're doing what you need to do. So tonight's homework, you were supposed to take the syllabus home and have your parents sign it and read it and bring the letter back signed. And I put this on here twice. You have to get the safety contract signed and turned it in. No contract, no lab time, no excuses. You have plenty of time. We're not going to go into the lab until next Tuesday, so you have to turn this in by Friday anyway. So please make sure that that gets in. And finally, you're going to, it says take the syllabus quiz on the Blackboard, but we're going to actually take it on Friday. All of this is due on Friday, August 2017. So please make sure you get that done. And I will talk to you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen.